The Crimson Temple by Graham Thunstrom. It was Halloween night, and I was putting on my werewolf costume when my younger brother Jake burst into the room, followed by my mom, holding a cute sheep costume. Jake shouted, "But Mom, I'm too old for that." After 3 whole minutes of her chasing my brother, she finally managed to put him in the costume and said, "Okay, kids, time to go to the party." I finished putting on my costume and got into the car. The party was taking place at my school. When we got there, I saw a man with a Halloween mask looking at me. He walked over to the car as we were getting out and started to grab something from inside his pocket. I yelled to my mom saying, "Look out, I think he's got a gun." My mom turned around and grabbed me and pulled me and my brother behind her. I closed my eyes and waited for something to happen. But nothing did. I opened my eyes, and what I saw still shocks me until this day. The man had a lollipop in his right hand, the same hand that had reached into his pocket a few minutes ago. But that wasn't the only thing that was shocking. He took off his mask and he showed his face. As soon as he did, my mom, brother, and I all gasped. The man was Uncle Ben, who we had thought had died in a plane crash while looking for a hidden temple deep in the Amazon rainforest. Before he left, he told me there were rumors that somewhere in the temple there was a long-lost artifact called the Crimson Fang of the Blood Wolf, and he wanted to find it in order to sell it to raise money for a children's hospital. I said in a surprised voice, "I thought you were dead." Uncle Ben said, "I wasn't really dead. I was captured, and they set the plane on fire to make it look like I really was." I asked him, "Well, how did you escape?" After I said that, I noticed a black van with very tinted windows across the street from us. Uncle Ben stopped talking about his amazing escape and noticed what I was staring at. Immediately, he shouted, "Run!" He grabbed me and my brother's hands, and we started running, and we all went with him. As I ran, I turned my head, and I saw my mom being grabbed by 2 men and thrown in the back of a van, with 2 other people chasing us. I had never been more terrified in all my life. After running for a while, we managed to lose them. We stopped to catch our breath, and Uncle Ben handed me an old folded-up piece of paper and a smooth stone shaped like a tooth or a tusk. I asked him, "Well, what are these?" He said that they were a map to the hidden temple and a key to finding the Crimson Fang. Just as he said that, Uncle Ben's phone started ringing. He put his phone on speaker so we could all hear. The person on it said in a deep voice, "We have your sister, Ben, and if you want her back, you'll do exactly what I say, or she's dead." Uncle Ben, in an angry voice, said, "What do you want, Mr. Wolf?" Mr. Wolf said, "I want you and your nephews to go to the Amazon rainforest, find the hidden temple, and bring me the Crimson Fang of the Blood Wolf. You have 3 days. I asked Uncle Ben how this Mr. Wolf knew about the long-lost artifact. He said that Mr. Wolf was also looking for it because he is a no-good crook who wants to sell it on the black market to make a fortune. So we decided to leave first thing in the morning and take an airplane to Manau. When we got there, we managed to get a guide to take us on a 2-day trip deep into the Amazon rainforest. After about a day and a half of going through the dense rainforest, we stumbled upon what looked like a warning sign. The guide said he wasn't going to go any further, and we were on our own from then on. He said that some people have never returned from that area, and the survivors claim to have been chased by what they call the Blood Wolf. They believed the blood wolf was a protector of the hidden temple, and he was twice the size of an average wolf. We decided to go anyway, and after about 3 hours of walking, I felt like something was watching us. But I shook it off, saying to myself it was probably nothing. After about another 3 hours of walking, we saw something in the clearing. It was the temple. It was getting dark, and we decided to explore in the morning. I was fast asleep when I was awakened by my brother screaming. I opened my eyes to look and see him being dragged away by the blood wolf. I yelled at Uncle Ben, saying, "The blood wolf has Jake!" Uncle Ben immediately got to his feet, and we barely managed to get Jake away from the beast. I quickly grabbed the map and the stone, and we ran towards the temple, with the blood wolf chasing us. We saw an entrance and ran for it. Just as we passed through the entrance, I turned my head to see the blood wolf running towards us. But before it could reach us, the door suddenly closed. I showed them that I managed to grab the map and the stone while being chased. Uncle Ben suggested that since we can't go back because of the blood wolf, we will go towards the treasure, because there may be an exit somewhere. I told Uncle Ben and Jake that I had noticed a bunch of big scars on the blood wolf when we were being chased. They assumed that it must have gotten a fight with a jaguar, but I wasn't so sure. After a bit of walking and dodging booby traps along the way, we finally found a door. A bunch of wooden pieces were scattered in front of the door. We picked them up and found out that most of them fit together. After about 10 minutes, we were able to fit them in the shape of a cube. We searched around the door and found an opening the size of the cube. We inserted the cube, and the door opened. We walked through and found ourselves in a giant room with a big hole at the top. In the middle of the room was a statue of what appeared to be the blood wolf sitting on a pedestal. On the base of the statue, there was some sort of text in what appeared to be Portuguese. Uncle Ben translated it, and it said, "If you wish to see the crimson fang, the blood wolf's fangs will find the answer you seek." We started thinking that it meant by the blood wolf's fangs. I took a closer look at the statue and noticed the statue had one fang missing. I took the stone fang out of my pocket and fit it into the hole in the statue's mouth. As I did this, I heard a click, and the pedestal began to rise out of the ground. A small opening in the pedestal was revealed, and within the opening lay the crimson fang of the blood wolf. Uncle Ben took the fang and turned to me with a smile and held it in the sunbeam that came down through the hole in the ceiling. "Breathtaking, isn't it?" Uncle Ben said. "Look how it sparkles in the light." The fang gave off crimson flashes as Uncle Ben turned it into the sunbeam. Something within the shadows stirred, and I turned my head to see a giant spider emerging from the darkness. It was twice the size of Uncle Ben and looked hungry as it moved towards us. "Run!" I yelled, and the three of us scrambled towards the door. The door slammed shut before we reached it, and we turned in horror to see the spider making its way closer and closer. "Someone help us!" I screamed. All seemed lost until I heard a howl coming from above. A huge black shadow crashed down onto the black spider, snarling and snapping. An inhuman scream came from the spider as it quickly retreated into the darkness. The huge blood wolf turned and looked at us with noble eyes and lowered his body to the floor. Somehow I knew he wanted us to crawl on his back, which we quickly did. He easily carried our weight and climbed up out of the hole in the ceiling. Once we were outside the temple, we slid off his back, and he looked to the sky, and a low growl started in his throat. I heard a whirring sound above us, and I looked up to see Mr. Wolf's helicopter descending to within a few feet of the ground. My mom was tied up and hanging on a rope just out of reach. Over the loud sounds of the blade spinning, I heard Mr. Wolf yelling to throw the fang up to him, and he would cut my mom loose. Uncle Ben launched the fang into the air, and Mr. Wolf caught it. He cut the rope, and my mom dropped into our arms. I looked up at the helicopter and saw Mr. Wolf pointing a gun our way. With a sinister smile, he said, "Can't leave any loose ends now, can I?" Suddenly, the spider appeared over the edge of the hole in the temple roof. It sprang through the air towards Mr. Wolf. Mr. Wolf was so surprised he dropped his gun. He scrambled back to pick it up. The crimson fang fell from his grasp and dropped right to us. I caught it, and we all started running from the helicopter. As Mr. Wolf grappled with the spider, the helicopter started spinning out of control and dropped into the rainforest. As we ran, we heard a huge explosion from the direction of the helicopter. We celebrated because we knew that was the end of Mr. Wolf, and we were safe. We thanked the Blood Wolf for saving us. He looked at us with wise eyes before turning and heading back into the temple. We hugged each other and started the journey home. Somewhere nearby, a dirty, wounded figure stumbled from the helicopter wreckage into the rainforest. The end?